And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build strength and improve your running, both at the same time. I started hybrid training around a year ago, and during most of that time, I was working as a manager at Little. That meant long shifts, early mornings, and late nights, while still trying to fit in two different styles of training. Balancing strength and endurance is hard, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Trust me, it is 100% doable, even with a hard job. But first, what does building strength mean? When I talk about building strength, I'm talking about lifting heavy weights relative to your body weight, mainly through big compound lifts like the squat, bench, deadlift, and also the overhead press. I have some honorable mentions here as well, which are the weighted dips and the weighted pull-ups. So how do we build this strength? Building strength is all about one principle: progressive overload. To get stronger, you simply have to increase weight over time. And interestingly, you don't have to do a lot of volume to get stronger. Some studies even suggest that 2 sets per week should be enough to build strength. From my anecdotal experience, I've noticed this is true, especially for squats and deadlifts. The main point with training in the gym to get stronger is to give our body a stimulus so that we recover from it and we adapt to this new stimulus. I'll give you some tips specifically for each lift. Let's start with the bench press, because I do believe this is the one where people tend to plateau the most. Now, the bench press isn't one of my strongest lifts because I never really focused on it. However, when I was teaching my best friend on how to do it, he got insane results. And here's how I did it. I always recommend high frequency when it comes to the bench press, because bench press doesn't cause as much fatigue. And it's a very technical exercise. I would even argue that it's probably the most technical out of the three. So the more you practice it, the better you'll become. Figure out where your sticking point is, at the bottom of the rep, in the middle, or at the lockout, and adjust your training to target that weakness. Now the squat. This one's going to be heavier and more taxing. You've got axial loading to deal with, so volume should definitely be lower than bench press. I'd suggest a couple of heavy sets per week and focus on accessories that hit the quads. Something like a leg press, lunges, things that won't fry your nervous system as much as a squat. And personally, I don't worry too much about building glutes, hamstrings, or your spinal erectors, because these will be hit hard by the deadlift. Which, speaking of the deadlift, you're going to lift way more than your body weight. So the deadlift will probably be the exercise that is the most taxing, and fatigue will add up super fast. That's why over here, I recommend you do as little amount of sets as possible. For me, I only do 1 or 2 per week, and I've noticed that my strength keeps increasing with just these 2 sets. And I know it seems pretty low, but it works for me. And it's safer to start with low volume and increase slowly, rather than starting with too much volume and then either not progressing or even worse, getting injured. The overhead press. This one's pretty tough. Once you get to 135 pounds to 60 kilos, progression starts to slow down, especially if you are lighter weight like me. The tip here for you is just keep trying, keep showing up. Try to build strength with other lifts so that it improves your overhead press. Again, this one's pretty hard. You just need to be patient. Weighted dips and pull-ups. I like to do a top set and back off. This lets you make some kind of progression on each workout, either with more reps or more weight. So basically, you never plateau. But don't go crazy with volume on these ones. Again, just 1 top and 1 back off should be enough. These 2 exercises are awesome, but if you overdo them, you'll get crazy fatigue as well. Now let's switch to endurance. Improving your running/endurance really depends on your goal. It could mean trying to hit a new personal record when it comes to short distances like the 5K, 10K, even a marathon, or maybe you're one of those people chasing ultra marathons, where the goal is pretty much seeing how much pain you can actually tolerate, while everyone else calls you crazy. Either way, it's about improving speed, endurance, and especially mental grit. How do you build endurance? Well, if your goal is to get faster, you need to develop your speed and be able to maintain it. That means doing threshold runs, tempo runs, intervals, whatever you like to call them. But don't skip on zone 2. Do around 80% of your weekly mileage in this zone. And if your goal is long distance survival mode, like ultras, then zone 2 should be even higher. I'm talking 90 to 100% of your mileage in zone 2, and gradually increasing your weekly distance over time. Now, how do we combine these 2 together? First, it's very important for you to figure out what's your goal at the moment. Is it strength or is it endurance? If it's strength, then you need to prioritize your lifts and keep the running volume kind of low or in the maintenance level, just enough to maintain your fitness. And if it's endurance, well, then you might have to put the gym on the maintenance phase and focus more on running. If you're just starting out, I would recommend 2 or 3 sessions of full body in the gym and 2 or 3 sessions of running per week, where on each gym session you focus on one of the big compound lifts, and with your runs you have one temp or threshold, and the other ones being zone 2 only. And I prefer this split for people starting out because this makes it so you don't have to do double training days, because at the start that might be too taxing. And remember, start with low volume and increase over time. This way it's more sustainable, you will keep progressing, and you don't have as much risk of getting injured. Because at the end of the day, the best factor to help you build strength and endurance is time. And if you're injured, then you won't be able to progress at all. And this is actually how I'm pretty much doing my training at the moment. 3 days of full body and 3 runs per week. And if you want to see how I structure my full week of training, I'll be dropping a video in 2 days explaining exactly how I do it. And if you got any value out of this video, then please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.